You're running with the endorsement of Senator Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
What do you have to do to get Bernie Sanders' endorsement? How did you get it? Do you have to kiss the ring? Does he ask you
No.
questions? No.
Yes. Questions, yes. No ring kissing. No. So Bernie and AOC were here in Salt Lake in April, and I got to speak at that rally. I kind of was like pushing them ahead of time to after they'd announced the Fighting Oligarchy tour, I was like, come to Utah. We have that excitement. We need it. We have a ballot initiative or a referendum that we need your help with. Like we need to raise awareness about like labor issues, some other things that were going on. And so I sent an email to their team and was like, please come here. And they did. And they came and I spoke and it was super fun. And yeah, I mean we filled up the University of Utah's basketball arena with almost 20,000 people, overflow outside, like never seen anything like it in Utah. So throughout the summer, kept in touch. We got this redistricting initiative decision from the courts back in November that was very much different than what we expected. We thought we were going to get like a purple seat or something. We got a seat that Kamala Harris won by 24 points, which is much more aligned with my politics. And so I decided to run and kept in touch with his team and was like just trying to get them on board, keep them engaged, tell them about the state of the race. And then one day I got a text from their team. It was like, hey, Bernie and I are going to call you in a couple hours. And so they called me and Bernie jumped on and we chatted for probably 20 minutes or so. And he kind of interrogated me about positions on Medicare for all and some tax policy, and it was really cool. And then the next day, got the word that apparently I said the right stuff. So it was really exciting. He's super popular here in Utah. He won the primaries both times that he ran. Actually, it was a caucus the first time around, but it's a big deal because I think people are ready for change. They're ready for people that are going to stand up for Medicare for all, for more fair tax policies, for fighting against the billionaires. We certainly have some corruption and things of that nature going on in Utah that like with a supermajority legislature here that people are ready for something different. And so it really means a lot.
Was the Fighting Oligarchy rally in the district you're now running in?
It was, yeah. Yeah, it was. So
Okay.
the University of Utah, yeah, the new district is basically the entire northern half essentially of Salt Lake County. Because Salt Lake County is 1.3 million of congressional seats, 815,000 or something. I don't know. The way ours got split up there somewhere over 800,000. And so actually the district I represent right now in the state Senate is entirely within the new Congressional District 1 here in Utah. So I already represent about 20% of the new district, which is really cool. I got 5 cities in my district, and so I already know these communities, have walked the doors in those communities, have talked to the voters, and I think from what I hear from constituents, people are ready for someone who's ready to put up a fight against the other members of our delegation here in Utah, the six or well, currently 6 Republicans, and it's going to be 5 Republicans once we're done with this race.
And what makes you want to go from a state senator, someone who's representing people at the state level, to the US Congress?
Yeah, so here in Utah, it's a super majority. The legislature in both chambers, super majority. They have constitutional majorities. They can do whatever they want without any sort of democratic approval, and they do. So the state Senate here is 29 members, and there are 6 Democrats. There's actually one independent now, one forward party member that left the Republican Party on the last day of session last year. So that's a whole other story. But um, yeah, it's tough to get anything done. I mean, there are Democrats who I feel like have really um, held their tongue and not stood up and spoken out against the things that we're seeing happen here in the state in order to pass legislation that, frankly, I don't think does enough for our constituents just to say they passed a bill. Uh, I've never been interested in that. I really want to talk about bigger issues that are actually like going to get things done for people. They're going to help with affordable housing. We have big childcare issues here in Utah, and so we can't get things done at the state level unless we want to hold our tongues and push the minor stuff. And I'm frustrated with that. So DC is still quite broken. We know the stories about how much gridlock there is and how nasty things are and that people can't come together and get things done. But at the very least, it's less polarized than Utah. I mean, we have we're going to take back the House. The Democrats are going to take back the House, potentially with a pretty good margin this year. So we'll be in the majority. We'll be able to do oversight, hold Trump accountable for the uses of the abuse of power that he's used. We're seeing in the Caribbean and these, the White House bulldozing the East Wing, the corruption, the intrusions into our communities by ICE, by the National Guard. I mean, all those things. And so I think that accountability piece is important. I've tried to play that role in Utah, but there's not many of us who do. So at least in DC, there's like, I think, critical mass of people that are willing to really take that fight on, and that seems like a more productive opportunity, frankly, than what I've been doing here in Utah.
Now, there used to be this guy, Mark Blythe, in a Brown, where we went to grad school together.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if you remember this, but in his Scottish accent, which was always really fun, he told us, if you don't like what your Congress is doing here in the US, just wait for them to die. They're getting old. They're going to die soon. But it does feel like we can't wait that long.
no,
There's a lot of damage that would be done. And there are a lot of people, not just in DC, but within the Democratic Party, that have been getting in the way of real progress.
yeah.
Walk me through your decision to run as a Democrat and how you see the sort of old guard maybe getting in the way of progressive ideas within the party.
Yeah, I mean, I beat a 36-year incumbent in 2022, a guy that had been there forever that was cutting deals behind the scenes with the Republicans doing exactly what you're describing, and I was sick of it. And I was sick of dealing with it, and I was ready to run. And I think people should not wait their turn. We get told to wait our turns too much. And if you feel like you can do it better, then put yourself out there and run. I think one good example recently was the fight over the shutdown and ACA subsidies, and that was the right fight to take. I mean, like, we were standing up for a real critical issue for folks, a real material thing to people's lives. It's going to end up costing folks thousands of dollars a year. We could have held out. We could have, maybe it results in them killing the filibuster, which again, I think is a good thing. Let them do their crazy stuff. People are going to see it. We'll take the majority back, and we'll use the simple majority when we win it to do the stuff that we need to do. And I think Democrats have been scared to do that. We've been scared to get rid of those roadblocks like the filibuster. Obviously, that's the Senate, not the House. But I think that's an example of being unwilling to use the power and the political capital that we build to actually help the people we're elected to represent. So I think it's frustrating to see people stand in the way. And I don't know if it's just this election now or maybe the last one too, but like, we're seeing younger people speak up, run for office, win some of these seats, and really start to influence the party. I mean, you're seeing the split over like APAC and things like that. Like, we're going to stop taking money from influences that we feel like are corrupting our ability to speak truth to power and to stand on our values. And I think that's really important, to be able to reject some of those institutional forces that have, people see it as like the uniparty or whatever. Like, we're all just one big mass, and everyone's somewhat conservative, and we're just, on autopilot. And we can't be doing that anymore. I mean, yeah, the whether it's Trump in the White House, and everything that he's done to erode our institutions, and the programs that keep global peace and keep people fed here in the US. I think yeah, we don't have time to wait around, and people who are more interested in compromising and doing things that aren't meeting the moment. I think their time is up, and we're not gonna succeed if we keep electing the same people. They're not gonna get us. The people that got us into it are not gonna be the ones to get us through it now.
It seems like there's a perceived divide that happens among, people who have really tacked on to what people are saying culture war issues. Republicans want to talk a lot about transgender rights, LGBTQ rights. And there seems to be a divide on Democrats of we have to ignore the culture war and focus on populism and economic issues like affordability. You're someone who really embraces both, right?
Mhm.
Having AOC and Bernie come in with the fighting oligarchy tour, that economic populism, but also you don't compromise when it comes to standing up for people's basic rights and freedoms.
Yeah, I don't think we have to put the culture wars first. I think, like, you put the stuff that matters to people's lives first, And I mean, some of these culture war things do impact people's lives. I mean, like they're, providing a sense of safety to members of our community because of their ability to show visibility and to feel represented in community. That's important, but the stuff that's going to impact everyone, the economic stuff, the education, childcare, I mean, all those sort of things. I think you talk about those, and then it gives you room to like say, hey, also like when the Republicans do something stupid, like here in Utah, they're talking about uh the state legislators are talking about coming into Salt Lake City and renaming Harvey Milk Boulevard Charlie Kirk Boulevard. And it's like they have no business telling us street names, period. But also, like, obviously, that's a huge red flag because of exactly the names they're using there. But I think you get capital to focus more on those things and to stand up and especially take votes and make sure that we are not doing damage in a policy sense to them, but also just vocally like standing behind the trans community, other marginalized communities like we have here in Utah. So yeah, I think that's the way I look at it. Is like do all the things, and it gives you the capital to stand behind folks that otherwise people are attacking. Because if people feel like they have to go after a community that encompasses like 1% of Americans, like it's not okay. I mean, there's just it's not impacting anyone else. Like it's just mean-spirited and trying to split us apart. And we need to bring people together around the stuff that matters to their lives. And I think when you talk about organized labor and providing affordable college education and putting food on the tables, like you can reach conservatives and at least like show them that you're willing to work for them too, and then have a conversation about some of the culture war stuff. Because like yeah, I'm sick of talking about like flags and stuff, but it is important to people to feel like they have visibility and representation, and so we can't just like shove it aside. I like watching like Andy Bashir in Kentucky. I think he's done a good job of being very moderate and kind of, but talking about issues that do matter, and then also not being afraid to use the capital that he gets from those things to actually stand behind folks in a state that's probably just about as red as Utah.
I know you know this very well, but the data center issue, the fact that so much of our GDP is going towards tech billionaires' ventures to develop AI with varying degrees of success. And these data centers are extremely energy intensive. And there's a big question of should all of our new investment be going to data centers?
Mhm.
Where do you see, the government and Congress stepping into this sort of market failure? Especially when we look at other countries like China that have huge infrastructure investment, they can take a train anywhere in the country. Salt Lake's probably super isolated by
Yeah.
comparison.
Yep, we've got a short kind of commuter rail along the Wasatch Front here, but yeah, it doesn't go outside of that. So yeah, I mean, I think it's all about priorities, and we're seeing a huge investment in data centers, and it's definitely detracting from the ability to spend on things that are going to help everyday Americans. And it's frustrating to see energy prices getting driven up by the massive subsidies that are being given to these data centers. I think one big piece is the data sharing. I mean, so these data centers are not generally public. Like when they come into a community, the county councils, the city councils, those folks don't really know. They don't have good insight into what sort of water resources they're going to be using, what sort of energy, how much land they're going to be using, how much pollution they'll be producing. So I think that's one big piece, is requiring, if they're going to come in, like they need to be fully transparent about what they're doing ahead of time so that the communities can make the decision that's best for themselves. And if they want to allow it, then local control is local control, fine. But they should know what they're getting. They should know that these things aren't bringing thousands of jobs, outside of construction. They're potentially polluting the water. They're using a ton of energy. I think there's also, I think, ways to incentivize, if we're going to build these things, to do it in a way that does actually help, like the grid in particular. Because this gets nerdy, but you can build like flexibility into these things as they kind of interact with the electric grid to when energy is expensive, they can use less of it themselves and actually use some like solar maybe or batteries that they have on site to push energy back onto the grid. And like if we require those sorts of agreements to work in favor of average people and to bring rates down, then that's a better trade-off. It's still a trade-off because you're still putting this highly resource intensive facility out there, but at least we're talking now about bringing a benefit back onto the community and not just subsidizing something owned by Bezos or whatever.
Healthcare is something that's on a lot of people's minds as well, and all these issues are kind of connected to, the concentration of wealth in our society. But specifically on the front of healthcare, the fact that it's become a commodity, health insurance specifically, how do you see us getting out of this when there's so many members of Congress taking lobbying money from people who don't want to see healthcare become something affordable?
Yeah, it's such a hard one to figure out. I mean, it's like everyone needs good access to healthcare, and we need to stop shutting people out. I mean, the efforts to like cut off the ability of undocumented folks to get access to emergency rooms, those sorts of things are really sad. Yeah, I mean, I think we need to move towards Medicare for all, and that's definitely something I'm committed to in Congress. And I think there's a plan out there that, yeah, this is one of the things that Bernie was specifically asking about and where I stood on it. And so I think it's like a 4-year phase in until everyone kind of has access to that. And I think, yeah, you could, it's a necessity. It should not be a commodity, right? I mean, it is something that we have to have as a baseline. And I think are we still the richest country in the world? I don't know. We're up there. And everyone should be able to have housing, food, healthcare. I mean, if you have it's cheaper too. I mean, right? Like if you have access to preventative care, then you can go in and do things ahead of time before they become an emergency, and then you end up spending, a whole bunch more to go into the emergency room with a, burst appendix or something, right? And so, and then move towards that kind of universal system where we're not dealing with health insurance companies and all the middlemen, the PBMs, and all these different things. I think you really bring the burden down, the administrative burden down, and I forget exactly what the numbers say about how much of the spending goes towards like not the actual care, but the system itself. Yeah, we'll save money in the long run. I think that's the big thing, and yeah, people won't be profiting and making billions of dollars, trillions of dollars probably off of it. So that's certainly concerning for the people that are impacted in that way. But I mean, most other countries have figured this out, and there's no reason we can't do it better.
How do we, you think, generally deal with the already concentrated wealth in the hands of the few? People have talked about wealth taxes in varying degrees. Republicans like to say that the idea of a wealth tax is unconstitutional. How do you see Congress tackling this issue?
Yeah, I mean, we've had much, much, much higher tax rates in the past at the upper levels. I think it's all about that progressive tax rate, and I've got no problem saying it should be a lot higher than it is. I don't know what the right number is off the top of my head, but I mean, what the billionaire folks are paying single digit percent, I think, in as far as what they're actually accountable for, and that's crazy. I think 40, 50, 60% isn't out of the question when you reach those upper levels. I mean, you can stagger it however you want, but and you got to, figure out the right level. I don't know if it's, 500,000 or a million a year when you start really seeing those increases, but there's some level at which like, yeah, that accumulation of wealth just sits in bank accounts and sits in, unused wealth funds overseas, and we're not getting anything out of it. It's just sitting there accumulating and taking it out of the system that we could be contributing to healthcare, to education, to putting food on tables, childcare. I mean, any number, affordable housing, any number of things. And so, yeah, I think we have to address it. I mean, yeah, it's been far too long that this country has really incentivize things for the upper echelons of society and put more and more and more red tape on people that just need a little bit of a hand up to get by. So I think that's something we need to think about is rethinking that whole process and cutting red tape for your working people who are just trying to get access to Medicaid or food stamps. Those programs have a pretty high burden on them to actually get and keep the benefits. And so let's make it easier for them. And be less worried about, incentivizing and subsidizing the people who are making millions a year. And I think taking resources out of our system, and they're using our systems. Like they built these fortunes on our infrastructure, on our roads, on our airports, out of our schools. Obviously, like all those things contribute to their ability to make billions of dollars, and they don't always put much back into it. I mean, they are able to extract that, and it just sits, and they invest it and they park it in, a nice house in New York City on Central Park or something, and no one gets to benefit from it aside from themselves. And yeah, I don't think that's right. I would love to see us address the wealth disparity issue as well. I ran a bill in Utah last year that would have put a 1% tax on people make a 1% surtax. So it was not attached to the standard income tax. It was just a separate 1% on people making over $1 million a year. It would have raised our income tax all goes to education here in Utah. So it would have raised about 150 million every year for schools. And then it also would have made the earned income tax credit refundable. So that would have returned about 65 million to working families. And so things like that, I think we can be doing. Maybe we need to be looking at getting rid of the cap on the Social Security tax and trying to make that system whole again for the people that actually need it, and not, just doing what's easy for the people making millions of dollars. I think there are so many aspects of that we could address, and it seems like everyone's unwilling to even touch a little piece of it.
When you do whatever you do to consume your news, whether it's scrolling or you're watching C-SPAN, whatever it is, when you see our current members of Congress tackling these issues, what do you see that makes you go, God, if I was in there, I would do that differently. There's something we could do that maybe they're never doing at all. Like, what do you see that's missing that makes you want to get in Congress?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I think there are plenty of people who I think are doing the right things, right? Like there's people that are in touch with their constituents. Maybe that's it. It's just like being more accessible to the public and like actually holding town halls. I think it's things like that more than anything else. Like let's get out there and talk to people. And I think there's always these layers of isolation. And maybe that's something with the job. Like as a legislator, I'm super accessible. People have my phone number, they can find me and call me. My home address is, out there accessible, which is a little scary in this day and age, but we'll figure that out. So I think I mean, more than anything, like just having access to your elected officials is something we've lost touch with here in the US. And I took a tour of the Capitol with actually with a former intern of mine from the legislature. He's like a Senate page or something now, and like you can't get anywhere near these people. Actually, I think I walked by like Amy Klobuchar or something. Like I saw her in the hallway, but like an average person could not get there. You can't find these people. They're not accessible. You're getting, an intern in their office that's responding to your phone call or email. And that's fine. Like not everyone is going to be able to see their congressperson all the time, but like to have them out in the community and actually talking to people and actually like shopping in our stores, and I think things like that are really critical. We see so many people that have extreme wealth that are trading stocks and that are making money off of their offices. And I think that sort of the perception is that they're working for themselves and not for their constituents. And so I think just anything we can do to like restore some faith in our elected leaders and in especially in DC, but it's certainly not just limited to DC where we need to do that. I think that would go a long ways.
Nate, how do we pronounce your last name? I think you should do like a Timothy Chalamet thing with your French last name. Just teach everyone how to pronounce it.
So the way I pronounce it is Blouin, which is
Blouin.
great. Blue, like a Democrat, or like blue tar, right? Blue tar. Yeah, we're
We could
working
get
on.
a blue in.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Oh, get a blue into Congress. Yeah,
That's beautiful.
boom.
How can people get
Um,
involved with the campaign?
yeah, so yeah, we've got we're playing around with a couple different slogans and stuff. We've had some fun. Yeah, just nateforutah.com. It's spelled out Nate FOR Utah.com. Social media is all out there. I think it's mostly just under Nate for Utah on social media. We've actually got a Discord channel that we set up, which has been fun. We're embracing the online era and making sure people can get involved that way. We're still early in the campaign right now, trying to fundraise. We've had thousands of individual donations come in already, not taking APAC money, not taking corporate money. So focused on those smaller donations and really need help there to really make this a successful campaign. I think we're up against someone who served in Congress before, who has been anti-choice, who voted against the PRO Act as a Democrat. who represented a seat that was about 35 points to the right of this one. He did a good job representing a red seat, but we don't have a red seat this time. So we have an opportunity to send someone much more progressive to Congress from Utah. And I think we've got all the momentum, even ahead of him after he raised way too much money in the first couple of days. And so that's what we're up against. And we need that grassroots support. So yeah, I'd love to have people engaged on social media, and then we'll get out here on the ground sooner than later. I love talking to voters and knocking doors. So if you're local to Utah, to Salt Lake County area, you can sign up to volunteer on the website too.
Good luck out there in the cold.
Thank you. Thank you. It's yeah, knocking doors in the cold. My hands freeze up pretty quick, but yeah, it's fun to be here.
It's the least sexy part of running for office, probably.
But it's fun.